Please welcome Dustin Dopirak. How are you, sir? How was your weekend?
Doing good, Jim. Yeah, good weekend. So I worked.
Yeah,
Spent a lot of days, a lot of yesterday at Bart Kaufman Field. Went down there for the mostly doubleheader. So hadn't been down to Bart Kaufman much this year, but got to take some of that in. Indiana took a loss in the second game, but big win in the first. So they're in better shape than I thought they would be after they started 2-7. So they go into their last weekend 10-11 in the league. So they're in decent shape. I think they could probably not need to win one at Iowa to get in the Big Ten tournament to be safe, but yeah, caught some baseball, did some work on Saturday, went down to Bloomington, was down in Bloomington Friday for a retirement party for the great Janice Rickard for Herald Times fans, the person who's been keeping that place moving for like 30-something years. It was her retirement, so we got to see a lot of the vets, a lot of the old folks from there. So that was a good time for sure.
The IU, if they had a doubleheader, that's from Saturday.
Suspended game from Saturday because they got about 2 innings in on Saturday and it rained and they weren't able to get that one in. So they played the rest of that and then they played the full Sunday game. And
I wish I would have caught. I wish I should have opened up the presser from Greg Campbell. I didn't do that. I would have seen that to head out there. I spent a lazy Sunday, but Indiana baseball, they made a comeback. Man, they were just stinking up the joint. I think at one point maybe they were 7-20 or something in the league, but now they are
it wasn't that bad.
Wasn't that? Well,
no,
I couldn't remember.
They were 2-7 in the league. They were 2-7 in the league. So they got swept by Rutgers in week 3. They had dropped 2 of 3 to Northwestern and who was it? Whoever they played in between.
Michigan.
No, they took 2 or 3 out of Michigan last week.
Yeah. Got it.
So they've taken 4 of their last, or they've taken their last 4 series. So they've taken 2 out of 3 in their last 4 series. So
which is a hell of a thing to do. Which is a hell of a thing to accomplish after the season that they had.
Yeah, no, considering. I mean, the issue is they still don't have any pitching. I mean, they're just getting by without it. And part of the reason, I mean, their offense is really good. I mean, it's not Schwarber Travis good, but it's really good. I mean, there's not.
Well, you've got a freshman that's setting a home run record, man.
Carter Matheson's a beast, man. He hit one. He won yesterday. That was just a bomb down the right field line, and he's like 6'3", 210. Every bit of it muscle. Like you look at, like he's got a big league body. He's probably a big league dude. So I'm gonna be writing about him this week. And I talked to Jeff Mercer about him a little bit yesterday. He's like, there's no limit on him. Is the best way he put it. He said,
how long are they going to be able to keep him?
3 years, because they're allowed to have him for 3 years. So, yeah. Basically, and MLB draft rule, as I understand it, is still your intent. Like once you sign on for, college ball, you're there. Like they can't draft you again until after your junior
year. I did not know that. Did not know that. That's a good rule for them to have.
Yeah, no, it works out well for baseball. I mean, again, it works out well for them. I mean, baseball's obviously an entirely different animal from what we think of with basketball, what we think of with football. It seems more fair on one level because it's like, okay, you either make this choice, you're either, you're draftable in high school and you get to get picked and get your offer and make your decision. You don't have to take it. You get to look at what they're offering you and say, do I want to get into pro ball now or don't I? And you get that offer after you've already committed to your college, basically. And so like after you already know where you're going, know what you're doing, you don't have to declare. You get picked and then you're like, okay, do I want to do this or not? Now, obviously they can offer you before they draft you to have a sense of whether or not you'll sign. They'll call you up and say, okay, if we pick you in this round, then we give you this money. Are you going to sign or not? And they might skip you if you say, no, I'm not going to do it. But obviously once you just say, no, I'm not, or you're not drafted, then you're going to play college ball and you're there for 3 years. If you play Division I, if you play at a 4-year, but you're then eligible. I think you're eligible every year after JUCO, if you go to JUCO. And obviously a lot of guys do. I mean, JUCO baseball is a pretty, powerful thing. But you're usually there for 3 years, and then after that, now, when you get drafted after your junior year, you better go, because if you wait until your senior year, now you got some leverage, but they're going to just gut you senior year. I mean, if you come out after senior year, your bonus is nothing. Like, it's embarrassing. The kind of bonuses they give out to seniors, it's just like $5,000 when, like first round picks get multiple million, you get a $5,000 bonus. And wages less than I make to play minor league baseball. So it's a little bit of an exploitive system. But ultimately, to answer your question, Carter Matheson's got 2 more years at Indiana. That's the short answer to what you just asked.
So we could see, I don't know what if does Schwarber have the home run record? I wonder for Indiana.
No, because you got to remember, they changed bats a couple years before Schwarber. So remember, if you remember old college baseball, it was nuts. It was crazy. I mean, it used to be, like I'm trying to remember the game. I think it was like 1998, 1999 College World Series. I think it was USC and Stanford were like 24. It was like 18-16 in the final. I mean, it used to be nuts, with metal bats and they didn't used to have any regulation on that. So dudes used to hit just bombs, just crazy freaking numbers. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the record's probably like 30 in a year. And so Schwarber got there a couple years after they got the new bats. So I mean, I think his height was like 18. And at that point, that's a big number. I mean, he was like top 5 in college baseball with that. But like that, the numbers for home runs fell dramatically because of that. And so, but Indiana, even when Indiana was bad, I mean, and also the games, there didn't used to be a games limit. Whereas like now it's 54, and it used to
Indiana as a team, though, I believe set the home run record just a couple of years ago.
That's possible. That's possible.
They were up over 100. I remember. Again, I don't know if they were leading the country. In
it's
home
a better
run.
chance that there's a good chance they were leading the country and didn't break their own record because again, it was a different universe.
Right, I get you.
Until about 2000 and then 2010-11, they had another bat change, and that was pretty drastic. They wanted it to perform like wood, and it mostly does. And
why not go to wooden bats?
You know what? A big part of it is supply. Or
expense too, because wooden bats break.
Wooden bats break. I mean, so obviously the metal is kind of a one-time thing, but it's expense. Like, I mean, I did a piece on that once, just to basically when they went to these bats, I was just like, why not just go straight to wood? And so, and the best argument I got, like I was talking to kind of sporting goods sort of like a lobbyist, honestly, which I didn't know they existed, but they do. And his sort of thing was like, his first thing was, well, like we basically is like trying to say like we want to sell metal bats, but another issue is the amount of lumber that it costs that you're talking about. Like, I mean, you got to think about like if you go all the way to wood, like you're cutting down a lot of trees, and then you're taking lesser quality wood. It's like the major leaguers get the best quality wood, and then it goes down a notch, and then down a notch. And if you have all of college baseball go to wood bats, that is a massive amount of wood, and you're digging into stuff that's lower quality. And so, and so again, like you got to clear out a lot, so like you forget just, it is at this point, a relatively
lot of trees, man. A lot of trees. It's a lot of trees.
It's a lot of trees. You're going to get low quality wood. It's going to break. You're going to have to buy a bunch of them. You're going to have to dig about it even further. And
because I believe that Louisville Sluggers are made out of ash. But there are a lot more bat makers now. It used to be that Louisville Slugger was the bat of NL. What's their still the bat? Hey man, he's protecting you.
Thoughts. Let me go out here.
He's not a Louisville Slugger fan.
She's not. She's got major issues with it. Actually, doesn't feel good about their quality. But yeah, no. It's a. But yeah. I mean, Easton obviously got involved, and then a whole bunch of like DeMarini and all of those. It became obviously a growth industry, I think, in the 80s and 90s. But no, David, really, seriously. I mean, that is what I was told, at least by the people who.
Well, making them to keep up. I mean, if you stop and think about the amount that you would have to make to keep up with all those college teams, that's a lot of freaking bats, man.
It is, and also don't forget, we don't just use lumber for bats. I mean, like. Anybody who's
we just had a lumber shortage.
Massive. My dad does work. My dad's retired, and he does work for Habitat for Humanity now. Does a lot of that. Like, he's big into that stuff. They weren't doing anything for like 7-8 months because of lumber shortage. Because basically, it costs so much to buy lumber that, like, I mean, the whole point of that program is to make it so like the people can afford it at cost. Basically, like whatever like Habitat puts in, that's what that family has to pay, and that's a lot less than you would have to buy on the open market. But like the lumber costs were so high that it was getting close to what you'd have to buy for, had to spend for a house on the regular market. So it was almost like pointless for them to build these houses for Habitat because they had to invest that much money in lumber. So yeah, I mean, you're still, I mean, I imagine it's lesser. I imagine it's come down some, but I mean, think about that. Imagine exacerbating that for baseball bats. I mean, again, like that's not all we use wood for. You think about what goes into building a house. It's massive. So if you take a sizable amount of that market, like a lot more than what you're doing now, and put it into wooden bats, you're taking a lot out of stuff that you can use for other things that are frankly more important.